I found a book called Bada' al-Fawaid by Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah. In this book of the famous Hanbali scholar Ibn Qayyim,
No, you didn't find it. You got it from these Arabic Christian apologists. Read again, fool.
on page 1473, I found a disturbing detail that most Muslims don't know about. This book explains how a Muslim man can relax during the month of Ramadan.
This guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. This book clearly states the thing that you're talking about. It states that what a sick person should do in Ramadan if he's not able to fast because of type of sickness that makes his desires continue. But we'll continue to see and we'll expose him.
And what he is allowed to do. It was narrated by Ahmad ibn Hanbal that a man came to him who feared that he would ejaculate while he was fasting. Ahmad said, "What I see that he can release semen without ruining the fast. He can masturbate using his hands or the hands of his wife. If he has an amma, whether be it a small..."
Not an amma, an amma. An amma, the right hand position.
Child or little girl, she can masturbate him using her hands. And if she was a non-believer, he can sleep with her.
And if she was a non-believer, meaning that if his wife or the slave that he has was a non-believer from the people of the book, right? Doesn't matter if she was Muslim or non-believer.
Without releasing his semen, if he released it in her, it becomes impermissible. As you see, even the little prepubescent girls are not safe during the month of Ramadan.
Okay, he's talking about the prepubescence. Let's take a look at the page that he's talking about. Okay, it is right here, for example. You can see clearly that in the page before, they clearly stated that this has to do with a type of sickness of a person who's not able to hold himself in Ramadan, and he fears that if he holds himself, he'll become more sick. He'll have more prostate problems, he'll have more sickness, right? So we see here, right, if we take a look at the page. So for example, we see in here, it says Al-Mughni, ثم قال أباح له الفطر, right? It's permissible for him to break his fast لأنه يخاف على نفسه فهو كالمريض, because he's afraid upon himself that something might happen to him, so he is like the sick person. You see the Arab question? كالمريض. ومن يخاف على نفسه الهلاك, and whoever fears upon himself death or being ruined, right, or his body being ruined, لعطش ونحوه, or for thirst or etc. وأوجب الإطعام بدلا من الصيام, right? Instead, he can be able to eat. He can break his fast, and not. It becomes obligatory for him to break his fast and not not basically continue fasting if it's gonna harm him. Now, if you take a look at here in Kitab al-Fusul that he was mentioning, that a person who is afraid upon himself, right, because something might happen to his private part or some sickness might happen to him, so what he may do, right, as it says here, right, during Ramadan, he's able to release the semen, masturbate to prevent this sickness or illness or problems. For example, doing it through hand or through rubbing it on the wife's body, or his slave girl, because remember in Islam you're able to have sexual intercourse with the right hand position, and the slave girl who is not fasting, right, غير صائمة, right. فإن كان له أمة, and if he has a slave girl, right, طفلة أو صغيرة, basically prepubescent or something like that, he is able to use her hand to rub to bring out the to masturbate himself, to bring out the semen. وكذلك الكافر, and it's also permissible for even if the slave girl was a disbeliever. ويجوز وطئها فيما دون الفرج, and is able to have intercourse with her without placing his private part inside her private part. And as we said before, that it says here, if you take a look, فصل فإن كان شبق الصائم مستداما جميع الزمان سقط القضاء. If this person who has this type of sickness, this fasting person has this type of sickness and he breaks his fast, you know, he does not need to perform al-qada, to make up the fasts. وعدل إلى الفدية كالشيخ والشيخة وإن كان يعتريه في زمان الصيف أو الشتاء قضى في زمان آخر. And if this only happened to him during time, whether it happens to him during the summer or during the winter, he can use the qada for another year or some else when he feels much better, and there's no fidya upon him. لأنه عذر غير مستدام فهو كالمريض, because this is a عذر, right? This is a type of excuse that this type of excuse that he is sick, he cannot, because he cannot hold his desires. Some people have prostrate problems and things like that. He cannot hold his desires and he's afraid upon himself something might happen. So this is when it comes to sickness, and as a scholar said, that when it comes to sickness in Islam, a person is able to masturbate if he cannot hold it. And so this is happening for him forever. So he's like ذكر ذلك في الفصول. So basically you can see Rob Christian didn't mention the context behind it. You're not allowed to have intercourse or masturbate during the days of Ramadan for no reason. This is only if you're sick and you're suffering from this type of problem. If you're suffering from this type of sickness and you're afraid upon yourself something worse might happen to you, you are able to break your fast because you are sick. As Allah says, whoever was sick or on travel, he can perform these on other days that he's well, or on other days when he's not on travel. And don't forget something, Robbie. If you go here in Numbers chapter 31, what his Moses was commanded by his God is, but all the women children that have not known a man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves. He's talking about that, right? So if you go here, let me just show you something. In Matthew Spoole's commentary, this is on Bible Hub, by the way, right? This is the Christians, they take from it. So, not known a man, right? Keep alive for yourself. For these women who do not know a man, keep alive for yourselves. It says either to sell them as slaves to others, or to use them as servants to yourselves, or to marry them when you have prepared and instructed them. So basically it says here you can marry prepubescent girls, because this is talking about only the women children that have not known a man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves, right? They have never slept with a man before, keep alive for yourselves. You can use them as slaves, you can use them as sex slaves, for example, you can use them as servants to yourself, or to marry them. You can marry them. Okay,